The other day, I saw this video and it made me very uncomfortable, but I was also incredibly intrigued by it. And so I did a little exploring, you might say. It was a hydraulic press, and very often I do end up getting into like a real rabbit hole of things in hydraulic presses.
How Things Are Made. Is that the name of the show? We watched it a few times. It's
I
very
like
comforting.
watching things being destroyed. They just put stuff in a hydraulic press and crush it.
Okay. All right.
Which is a good time for me, apparently.
Hey, whatever works.
During the nights.
We all have our way of dealing with stress.
So in this hydraulic press was this piece of glass, and they lowered the press and it got tighter and tighter on this piece of glass, and it kept showing the number on the press of like the weight that was being put on this piece of glass. And it was going up and up, up and up and up and up and up and up. And I was like, okay, I'm waiting for this glass to explode, right? And it did not. And the weight kept getting heavier, or I should say the pressure, they kept increasing the pressure. And eventually they lifted the press, and the video showed the inside of the press, and the hydraulic press was bent.
By glass?
By glass.
What kind of glass is this?
It's called Prince Rupert's drop.
Okay. All right. Because we need some of those in our kitchen. We need some glasses in our kitchen made out of that, so I don't have to run to the drugstore and get you bandages.
Well, unfortunately, it's not exactly how it works, but we'll get into it. Prince Rupert's drops, or Dutch tears, they're sometimes known as, are remarkable glass formations that are created by dripping molten glass into cold water.
Prince Rupert drops? Is that what you said?
Rupert's drop. Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds like an intestinal affliction. I've got the Prince Rupert drop.
Yeah, I can't come today.
No.
I got the Prince Rupert's drop.
I'd love to. I really, really wanted to go, but I got the drop.
It's hard to stand upright. Now, the rapid cooling process causes the glass to solidify into a very unique tadpole-like shape, featuring a bulbous, tear-like head and a long, slender tail. Now, the outer layer solidifies quickly, and the interior cools more slowly, creating a high-stress environment that gives these drops their distinctive characteristics. This process is called quenching. So what makes these so remarkable? These droplets, as I mentioned, have the bulbous end and then the long tail. And a PRD, as we're going to call it now, Prince Rupert drop, the bulbous end is incredibly strong, while the...
That's what she said!
the delicate
I miss
tail.
Michael Scott so much.
Now, what was I saying? Yes,
I don't know.
The bulbous end is incredibly strong, while the delicate tail, if even slightly damaged, the entire structure will shatter instantly with a sharp popping noise into a fine powder. So this combination of strength and fragility has fascinated scientists and artisans for centuries. So it was the year 1660. And Prince Rupert introduced these captivating drops to England. He presented them as a gift to King Charles II. Recognizing the intriguing and incredible properties, the king entrusted these curious drops into the newly established Royal Society. And this group was an esteemed institution dedicated to scientific exploration and research for further investigation and study. They were able to determine that the drops exhibit remarkable strength due to the internal stresses created during their rapid cooling process. The abrupt temperature change of the quenching process locks immense internal stresses within the droplet, and that gives it its extraordinary properties.
And these were, I'm assuming, discovered by accident. This was just a happy discovery that
absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So while a piece of glass can resemble a Rupert's drop in shape, it might not share the same properties or formation process. So here are some distinctions. The teardrop shape is essential, but you can have a teardrop shape in a piece of glass without it being a Prince Rupert's drop. The glass has to be cooled in the right way. It has to be in a molten state and then cooled rapidly to create those internal stresses that are necessary. It's got to have the proper shape, that bulbous end. Please stop focusing on the fact that I keep saying bulbous end. And that long, thin tail. The glass has to be free of impurities and defects. The glass has to be of a certain size, and there have to be certain environmental conditions in place. If all of these standards are met, you are left with a PRD. Now, the exact amount of force required to break the bulbous end of a PRD can vary based on factors like the size and the quality of the drop. But generally speaking, one might withstand pressures of 67,740 kilogram force.
Can you put that in context for us?
Yes. Kilogram force is a measure of force based on the weight of the mass of 1 kilogram under Earth's standard gravity. So 1 kilogram force is like 9.8 newtons, and it's essentially the force exerted by a mass of 1 kilogram due to gravity. So it's an enormous amount of force. It's like the weight of a jet airliner or a couple dozen elephants. Now, back in 1994, Dr. Srinivasan Chandrasekhar and Mundwar Chowdhury used high-speed photography, capturing about 1 million frames per second to study how the drop shatters.
Wow.
And what they found was fascinating. Any cracks that formed in the tail would race down toward the head at over 3,000 miles per hour, splitting repeatedly along the way. And then the glass would bounce off of itself, which is why it seemed to explode.
Okay. All right.
Fast forward to 2016, and we finally unravel why the head resists shattering. It turns out that the toughened glass owes its incredible fracture resistance to the internal comprehensive stresses, around 50 tons per square inch, making it as strong as many kinds of steel. Yeah.
I would love to see that video or that film, 1 million frames per second. That must be hella dramatic, I think is what the youngsters call it.
Oh, yeah. They can't stop saying it. Though the mystery of the PRD may have an explanation now, Dr. Chandrasekhar is quick to remind us that the point of science is to continue learning. And he writes, it's always possible that new elements of Prince Rupert's drops and our explanation of the phenomenon may be called into question. The motto of the Royal Society is nullius in verba. Take nobody's word for it. And there will always be something else to challenge and another mystery to solve. And I think that caveat is so important because science isn't about having all of the answers. It's about asking better questions and challenging assumptions and refining what we know through observation, experimentation, and discovery. And each breakthrough reveals oftentimes new mysteries, keeping the process of learning and exploration alive. It's a journey, not a destination, you know? So while PRDs might not have direct practical applications in industry, like we can't make drinking glasses out of them.
Damn it.
I know, honey. The principles that they reveal have had a profound impact on modern material science. So by studying these fascinating glass droplets, engineers and scientists have gained valuable insights that help them create stronger, safer, and more reliable materials that maybe aren't made of bulbous ends and tiny tails. So these advancements show up from the safety glass that we rely on the daily to cutting edge parts used in aerospace technology. So even though, like I said, we can't make a glass out of that glass, there are ways that the science of it has helped expand other industries. It's pretty interesting.
It is interesting. And I mentioned briefly having to run to the pharmacy to get you bandages because we bought a really cheap set of glassware when we first moved here. Mm-hmm. And Kat was washing the inside and it shattered and she cut herself pretty badly. These glasses, we had one sitting on the counter. Nobody was near it. And a chunk of it just fell off. Talk about inferior glassware.
We stopped buying products from that particular store.
Yeah. When we see those glasses on display, we call them the killer glasses.
Yeah. And we scootle away as quickly as we can.
We do. We don't even look back over our shoulders.
No, for fear of damaging our eyeballs.
From glass shards flying our way. That's fascinating.
I thought so.
You could put a jumbo jet on top of one of those things and it wouldn't break. Crazy.
Isn't it? I have to say, again, the video with the hydraulic press, it upset me so much because your brain's like, why isn't it breaking? Like, why isn't it happening? And you have certain expectations, again, patterns and all that, and it just does not follow the pattern, and it's very upsetting.
No, it's like the Monty Python scene where they're running toward the camera from the distant horizon, and then it cuts to their location they're running to, and it cuts back, and they're still running from the same location, and this goes on and on and on. We need some resolution here.
I got my information from Purdue University, the Royal Society, Nature.com, and of course, Wikipedia.
Again, an exciting time for us. We're relaunching our YouTube channel with this episode, and we ask you to check it out if you'd like. We'd appreciate that. Those of you listening for the audio, you can obviously still do that. We're not going to stop with the audio drops, but we would appreciate it if you would subscribe, give us
like and subscribe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where the buttons are.
We don't do that.
No.
We're not fancy enough.
Do you want to do a thumbs up right now so we can have it for the thumbnail?
Yeah.
Or you could do a thumbs down.
I know. Yeah. That's one of the things that drives me crazy
biggest
about
disappointment.
A lot of the YouTube creators who are way more successful than us, right, but they have those ridiculously staged thumbnails. Like you said, big thumbs down. What do I think of this cruise ship? Or the type of ink you should use when you're screen printing. And they have this like Home Alone Kevin with their hands pressed against his cheek expression. Like that.
Worst ink ever?
Yeah, exactly. Question mark. Exclamation point.
We say as they outpace us on YouTube by millions.
By millions. Yeah. Yeah. Got to give credit where credit's due. So look for our ridiculously staged thumbnails on our new YouTube drops coming right up. Also, theboxofoddities.com. That's where you can find links to sign up for the newsletter, which is free. And also, of course, you can support us on Patreon. The link is again at theboxofoddities.com. And we so appreciate you guys.